If you like storytime vibes, hit subscribe and let's dive in together.
I came home earlier than usual that night, hoping to surprise my wife with dinner. Instead, I froze in the doorway, staring at her phone glowing on the coffee table. A message popped up. My name wasn't in it. My heart sank before I even read the words. The message read, "So, are you done with him yet, or should I shoot my shot?" A joke, maybe. But it wasn't funny. I wanted to believe it was a misunderstanding, some ridiculous inside joke between friends. But then I remembered the post she made days earlier. Some husbands think they can't be replaced. At the time, I brushed it off. I thought it was just a careless repost, some meaningless quote. But the comments had told another story. Her friends tagged each other laughing. One of them wrote, "If husbands are so replaceable, is yours free?" And my wife, my partner, the woman I trusted with my whole life, responded with nothing but a laughing emoji. No denial, no defense, just laughter. And in that moment, I became the punchline. That night, I confronted her carefully, asking why she would post something like that, why she let her friends mock me so openly. She rolled her eyes and said, "You're too sensitive. It's just girl talk." But I knew. Deep down, I knew. No loving spouse would ever allow their friends to joke about replacing their partner, unless they believed it themselves. From that night on, everything changed. She grew distant. Her smile wasn't for me anymore. Her laughter came at times when she was glued to her phone, her fingers dancing on the screen like I wasn't even there. I wanted to scream. I wanted to shake her and demand the truth. But instead, I waited. I stayed calm. I decided to gather proof because deep down I already knew. This wasn't just girl talk. It happened on an ordinary evening. She was in the shower, humming a tune, while her phone rested carelessly on the couch. I wasn't looking for trouble, but when the screen lit up, trouble found me. A message from the same friend who once joked about replacing me. "So, are you done with him yet? Or should I make my move?" My stomach dropped. My hands trembled. But my mind? My mind turned cold, sharp. I took screenshots of everything, the post, the comments, the messages. Every word was a dagger, and now I had collected the blades. That night, I said nothing. I smiled at her over dinner, nodding as she spoke about her day. She thought she still held the strings, but I was already cutting them, one by one. The next evening, I set the trap. I casually asked, "So, how are your friends doing? The ones who keep tagging you in those posts?" Her eyes flickered, just for a second. But I caught it. She forced a smile. "Oh, just silly girl talk. You know how we are." But her voice cracked at the edges. And I leaned in, lowering mine. "Do I? Because silly girl talk usually doesn't end with your friend asking if you're done with your husband." The fork slipped from her hand. Her face drained of color. You looked at my phone?" I didn't blink. "No, your phone looked at me." She stammered, scrambling for excuses. "It's not what you think. He was just joking. I didn't mean anything by it." But her words tumbled like broken glass, sharp yet meaningless. I leaned back, calm, deliberate. "I have every word, every post, every comment saved. You turned me into a joke, and then you entertained someone who wanted to replace me. Tell me, was that also just girl talk?" Her lips parted, but no sound came out. For the first time, the woman who always had an answer stood silent. That silence told me more than her words ever could. And in that silence, my decision hardened. I didn't explode that night. I didn't yell, didn't curse, didn't smash plates. That's what she expected. That's what would have given her control. Instead, I smiled. and that smile scared her more than my anger ever could. The next morning, while she scrolled through her phone in bed, I slipped out quietly. My destination? A lawyer's office, my evidence, every screenshot, every message, every careless word she thought was harmless. The lawyer leaned back in his chair, flipping through the pages. Then he looked at me and said, "You have more than enough to file. This won't just be a divorce. This will be a clean break." That evening, I came home calm, collected. She was waiting for a fight. Instead, I kissed her cheek, asked about dinner, and let her believe, for one last night, that nothing had changed. But behind that calm, I was moving pieces she didn't even know existed. Bank accounts, shared assets, calls to family. Quietly, I was building the wall she would crash into. The twist? She thought she was playing me, but all along, I was letting her, because a fool who thinks she's in control will always reveal her hand. 2 days later, she left her phone on the counter again. Another message came through, this time bolder, shameless. "So, when are you finally kicking him out?" "I've been waiting." I didn't need more evidence, but I took it anyway, because the deeper the cut, the stronger my case. That night, over dinner, she smirked. "Are you still upset about that silly post? You're so dramatic sometimes." I looked her dead in the eyes, slid an envelope across the table. She laughed, thinking it was some love letter, but when she opened it, her smile cracked. Divorce papers, with her name printed in bold, her fork clattered against the plate. You're not serious." But I was. I leaned forward, voice steady. "You mistook my love for weakness. You thought I couldn't be replaced. But in the end, it's you who has lost what can never be replaced. My trust." She stared at the divorce papers like they were written in fire, burning her hands. For the first time, the arrogance drained from her face. Her lips trembled. "Please. It was just a joke. I'll delete the post. I'll block them. It meant nothing." Her voice cracked, desperate, the same woman who once mocked me now begging for mercy. But I shook my head slowly. "Respect, once broken, can't be rebuilt with apologies. You laughed while your friends tore me down. You entertained the idea of replacing me. That was no joke." But it was too late. She tried everything, calling my family, crying to my parents, begging them to convince me. But when I showed them the screenshots, they fell silent. They didn't argue. They didn't defend her. They knew. The night before court, she stood at the doorway, tears streaking her face, whispering, "I never thought you'd actually leave. I thought you loved me too much to walk away." I looked at her one last time, calm, steady. "You mistook my love for weakness, and now the weakness you thought you saw is gone. All that's left is the truth." The next day we signed the papers. Her hands shook so badly she could barely write her name. Mine didn't. When it was over, she sat there broken, sobbing into her hands. But I walked out lighter than I had in years, because the chains were gone. People often say divorce is an ending, but for me, it was a beginning. A beginning where I would no longer be mocked, belittled, or treated as disposable by the very person who vowed to stand beside me. She thought I could be replaced, that I would cling to her no matter the humiliation. But in the end, the irony was sharp. I walked away, and she was left alone. I didn't replace her with another woman. I replaced her with peace, with dignity, with the quiet confidence of a man who finally chose himself. And that's the lesson I carry, the one I share now. Love is not weakness. Forgiveness has limits. And respect, once broken, can never be rebuilt with cheap laughter or empty apologies. To anyone listening, guard your dignity, guard your trust, because once it's shattered, there is no glue strong enough to put it back together. I walked away not as a broken man, but as a man who refused to live broken. That is the sweetest revenge. That is freedom. So in the end, she was right about one thing. Husbands can be replaced. But she never imagined it would be her who ended up replaced. By silence, by regret, by the emptiness of losing everything she thought she controlled.